Hi everyone. For today's lesson, we're going to look at how to use arrays in Java. So to get started, I have created this simple program. Basically, I declare three integer variables, a0, a1, a2. And here I'm assigning the values to the three variables. So I'm assigning a0 equal to 0, a1 equal 1, and a2 equals to 2. And basically, I'm just going to print them out over here. So let's take a look at how that runs. All it is that it has three variables, and I'm putting 0, 1, and 2 in each of those variables. And then I print out the value, so it's printed out over here. So that's how you assign values to variables and you print out the value of each variable. Now, in Java, I can do the same thing by using arrays instead of using individual variables. So let's go over how we can do that. So to get started, I'm just gonna copy all these down to here. And up there, I'm just gonna leave this so you can see the similarity between using the variables and the arrays. So here we're gonna have example. Let me do this. I'm gonna separate the two codes so you can see clearly. And here we have example using arrays. In Java. Example using arrays. I'm gonna change the description, the printout down here too. Okay, so to declare an array of three elements, because here you have three variables, so I need to declare an array of three elements. So I'm gonna declare a variable, an integer variable, num element equals to 3, and that would give me 3 elements in the array. And now I'm gonna declare an integer array, and I have to give the array a name, so I'm gonna name my array A equals to new integer array of the number of elements. So it's gonna be num element, which is 3 from up here. So this here will give me an array of 3 elements, an integer array of 3 elements. Alright, and to assign the values to the array, I would need to have a for loop. So instead of doing this manually for each variable, I'm gonna do for, and let me bring this over. For integer I equal to 0 till I is less than the length of the array. So I'm gonna do a dot, and I'm just gonna pick from the list here the length of the array. And for each iteration, I'm gonna do I++. So I'm gonna add 1 to I for each iteration. And each time I go through the loop, I'm just gonna assign the value to each element of the array. So let's take a look. So I start out with I equals 0, and then I'm gonna put the value of I, which is 0, into the element A0. So this array has 3 elements, so there's gonna be, these are the elements of the array. There's gonna be A0, A1, and A2. So these are my 3 elements of this array, and those are the same thing as having 3 individual variables to identify each of these elements correspond to each of these variables. So it's the same thing as using 3 separate variables, but we're putting them all in one array instead of 3 separate variables. So on the first iteration, I'm gonna put 0 into A0, and then the second iteration, I'm gonna put 1 into A1, and then I'm gonna put 2 into A2, and then I'm gonna print them out. So to print them out, I can either do it this way. I can do print A0. Let's do it this way first, see how it looks like. A1, A2. So this array has 3 elements. So this is element number 1, element number 2, element number 3. The array starts with element 0 and it goes up. So it goes up to the length of the array minus 1 is the index of the array. So in this case, it's 3 minus 1 is 2. That's the maximum it goes up to. Alright, now let me try and run this, and we'll see how this looks. And look at that, it's giving me the same result. So up here, I'm using the variables to print out these values. And down here, I'm using the arrays. I'm loading the array in the for loop here. And then I'm printing out the values of the arrays. And I was able to get the same result by using the arrays. Okay, now one change we can make here is instead of printing out these, right, I can have a for loop. So it's going to be similar to the for loop that we have up here. We're going to do for. Actually, we can just copy it down. For I equal to 0 to the length of the array to less than the length of the array, we're going to do I++, and we're just going to print out, instead of hard coding the indices in here, we're just going to say print out I. So for the first iteration, it's going to print out I of 0, and then it's going to print A1 and A2. And this should give us the same result as before. Let's check it. And there it is. So as you can see, we can use the for loop to load the array and to print the array. So now you have 2 ways to do it. You can do it by using the variables, individual variables, or you can use it by using the array. In this case, it's not a big deal. It's not a big difference if you use either method, because it takes about the same amount of work. But what if you have an array you want to do for 10 elements? So if you in here you only have 3 variables. What if you need 10 variables? So in this case, if you have individual variables, you would have to do this: 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And then you have to go and change each one here. So I would have to do 3, and this is 3, this is 4, and you can see how much work having the variables, each individual variables. It takes a lot of work because you have to go and change each one. So it's not 7, this one is going to be 8, and this one is going to be 9. And then I have to do it this over here: 6, 7, 8, 9. Not only that, but I have to go down here and do the same thing here. I'm not sure how many I have there. I have 3, 4, and when you make this many changes, there's a chance you can mistype something and make a mistake. Then you would have a bug in your program. 9. Oh, and not only that, but I have to go and change it here as well. So I'm gonna have integer. I need 2, 3, 4, 5, and you can see how much work just to make it from 3 variables to 10 variables. 6, 7, 8, and I need one more, a 9. There, so that we did it up there. Let's run it. Okay, so we put in all that work to make it to change it from 3 separate variables to 9 separate variables. Now let's make the same change with the array. All you have to do is you're gonna go here, delete the 3, change the 3 to a 9, and then run it, and there you get 9 variables. Oh, you know what? We should change it to 10, because up here actually you're getting 10 variables. This is 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. So there is, we wanted to change it to 10 variables instead of 9. That's very easy to do. All you have to do is to change the number of elements in the array here, and the rest you don't even have to touch them. And there it is. We got 10 variables. The exactly the same output we're getting up there, but much less work is done with the array than when we made the change up at the top. Now you can see that that was just 10 variables. What if you want to do 100 variables? To do it this way would take you the whole day to do, but if you want to make it 100 variables, you just change the number of elements in the array to 100, save it, run it, and there you have it. It's 100 variables. It's printing from 0 to 99. Alright everyone, that's just an introduction to arrays. We're gonna come back in another lesson to learn more about arrays, and we'll even look at the two-dimensional arrays later. Thank you, everyone. We'll see you next time.